Mason Kuipers. What's up, man?
Absolutely. Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited to have this conversation. I know you got a growing business and you're a man of faith, and so excited
For
to
sure.
hear a little bit about your story. And I think a lot of people are going to benefit from this. So, yeah, how'd you get into this?
Awesome. No, thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk today. Yeah, so kind of interesting story about Lakeshore Customs and our journey. Basically, fortunately, during my college career, 2020 is when I was graduating, and as we all know, the times were
Nice.
just very very interesting. COVID hit us unexpectedly, and we just didn't really know what the future was going to hold for I think a lot of people as they were exiting their college time frame. I mean, it was just unclear of what companies are going to do as far as positions available, what applying to a company looks like. It was a weird time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there was a lot of uncertainty, but back in about 2019, fall of 2019, we live here in Holland, West Michigan. We had a family friend that bought a home on Lake Michigan. And yeah, basically, I grew up in the area my entire life. So I knew Lake Michigan very well, lived a mile away from Lake Michigan. So they ended up
Nice.
moving out there during the high water. I know a lot of you listening might not know what the high water is. Lake Michigan sees a high water every 20 to 25 years. It's on a cycle to the ups and the downs, and it fluctuates as it moves. When
Yeah.
he bought the home in Lake Michigan, it was during the highest point, and actually it was a record high for Lake Michigan in general. So as the water was high, wave storms would come in, and actually it was eroding the property every day, and the property was basically falling into the lake overnight and for the course of that fall season. And market values just dropped and plummeted really quickly out there on the lakeshore. So our family
Yeah.
friend was able to purchase that home at a really good price, but also at the expense of the home getting to a vulnerable state of it actually getting to the edge of that bluff. Lake Michigan has, as many of you may not be familiar, Lake Michigan has ranging from 20 to 250-foot bluffs of sand on the shoreline.
Yeah.
So these homes that sit above it are really susceptible to wave action, and especially during this high water. So as he bought that home, we were able to come in, and he actually needed to do something to protect it so his investment didn't fall into the lake. We were able to do a large geotube sandbag revetment at the toe of the bluff, and basically that would
Nice.
protect everything from the waves that would come in, and hopefully protect the home. It was successful in doing that, and from that time, there was lots of requests from neighbors to actually do the same thing because other people were in the same situation. So as that happened, we were able to work with him, and we did some projects for probably the course of a month and a half. And
Yeah.
he's a business owner. He was in his 50s, and it was just a little too much for him. So he actually
Yeah.
offered up an opportunity for us to buy his equipment and start doing the work ourselves. And me and my brother at that time, he's Clayton, he's 2 years younger than me. We were both
Yeah.
very interested, and I was just about to be graduating and didn't know what I wanted to do. So it felt like a great opportunity, and that's kind of where Lakeshore
Yeah.
Customs started.
Dang. So right out of college, just jumping right into it.
Right out of college, and I would say very unique scenario.
Yeah.
Obviously, that was all God's timing, and I had prayed for it at that time of just what He wanted to lead me into. I knew a
Yeah.
ton about myself, and I think I knew I loved entrepreneurship. I knew I loved sales. I knew I loved relationships, and I really wanted to grow something. As I grew up, my parents would always tell me, they're like, "Man, you're gonna be a business owner someday. Like you just have the character for that, and we just know that you're a leader, and we think that's something you're going to do." And I kind of just, at that time, I was uncertain of what I was going to do, but it was awesome that our prayers really
Yeah.
answered, and that was put in front of me.
Yeah.
So
That's pretty cool.
part of it, I think,
That's
is
pretty
just
cool.
being able to see those things in front of you and actually take the leap to trust that those opportunities can actually turn into something.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually not too dissimilar to my story. And we
Sure.
started in Stratus started in 2020 as well.
Yeah.
And we were all working at a company that I ended up deciding to leave in 2020, and we pretty much sold everything, sold our home. We moved into a camper van that we were renovating along the way with my wife, my daughter,
Nice.
and our dog. And so it was pretty tight. And we, again, had not really no understanding of like what's going to happen. But let's go try to do this firm thing. And so we did that. And then the company that we were working with before actually shut down. And so all of a
Mm,
sudden we had this unique opportunity
right.
to, me and a couple colleagues that I worked with at the prior company to partner up and work with all the clients that we had been working with for years. And so,
Sure.
yeah, when you see those opportunities, you got to jump right in.
Absolutely. No, I totally agree with you. I feel like that's a huge lesson that I've learned, and maybe similar to both our stories is I think where I really learned it was college and even some in high school too. But then, getting into entrepreneurship, I feel like there's this misconception of that you have to have everything figured out in order to,
Yeah.
be in a good spot. And a lot of that where I saw that in college was I need to know exactly what my major is going to be so I can do my dream job and have my whole career in front of me right from the start. And it's just really not what it's all about. I think that's where us as Christians, that really comes into play of just trusting the Lord and where he's put you at in our feet, where we're at currently,
Yep.
and where we can see him open doors in front of us. I think pivoting and being able to grow into different things is, I mean, that's every day.
Yeah. Yeah, I follow this guy on social media too. He says this quote quite often that perfection is the enemy of progress.
Mm,
And waiting till everything is in a perfect row
yeah,
to actually begin and just do what's right in front of you is going to be
sure.
your biggest enemy.
Yeah,
I could even say that for this podcast studio. It's only like half set up right now, but
right.
I took that phrase and
Right.
I took that phrase to heart of just like, just get started,
Yeah,
Hunter. Just,
start somewhere.
just, just reach out to Mason and see if he's
Yeah,
interested, and let's
exactly.
just move forward,
Lean
and
into it.
we'll
I love it.
figure it out along the way. So, were your parents entrepreneurs, or like it just seems like such a big jump to go straight from college straight into like managing a business and
Right.
relationships and finances? I mean, where
Sure.
did that kind of come from for you?
Yeah. You know what? I think, my parents are not entrepreneurs. They both worked in the medical industry their entire life. They've obviously, done similar things within that industry that I think maybe translated to, and I think as everything does, I think regardless if you're in an entrepreneurship role or you're in a, bigger corporate industry, um, you know, creating relationships, having great communication,
Yeah.
doing what you say you're going to do, all those things translate into both. i feel like
Yeah.
I feel like business for me has been something where if you can really focus on simplicity and understanding where risk is and how to navigate risk well, I feel like business becomes very simple.
Yeah.
um, and I think there's a lot of peace and reassurance in that.
Yeah. Talk to me more about that. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
I guess maybe what are some of those risks that, you identify that you have to
sure.
mitigate? What does that look like?
Yeah, I feel like from a finance perspective, even just with talking with people over we've been doing this for 4 or 5 years, and I've been in my entrepreneurship journey for that long. I've had multiple people, ask those questions about starting a business and where that goes and how you do it. And it's like, I
Yeah.
think, you know, it might not be as hard as you think it is. And I think people get maybe confused on the financial investment and what you really need to do in order to start a business. And if you can create good relationships, show up on time, do what you say you're going to do, and obviously, like we talked about before this call, finances can be a little bit intimidating. How do I budget a project? How do I price something out? That's like the first step to actually taking the jump. And yeah, knowing how to do that well from the start is very important.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's a lot of
Yeah.
areas where like renting equipment over buying equipment. I think a lot of people think, oh, I need to buy this piece of equipment in order to do this work. No, I mean, there's a lot of opportunity out there to make it make sense over time.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally agree with you that I don't think it's as complicated as people make it to be.
Sure.
It can be complicated once you maybe reach a
Oh,
certain
absolutely.
size and things like that, but to just get started is actually not that complicated, and it's not that
For sure.
complicated financially either.
Yeah,
When you're just starting out,
for
it's
sure.
largely, I mean, what I'm often telling people is like, hey, like your main focus needs to just be finding revenue.
Yeah,
The finances are pretty simple at this point, at this
for
stage in the
sure.
game. And
Yeah.
so simplify it for yourself and,
Yeah.
kind of do those steps. But
No, and I totally agree. And I feel like the other piece too is, when you evaluate a certain type of business, not like, for example, I've actually heard some stories of where, like, even looking back on the college portion of this is like, I've heard of people that go in and get a business degree and then they end up in a medical type related industry. Whereas, typically you have to
yeah,
go through medical school to get to that route. And that's where I
yeah,
feel like, you know, college has always been, getting a certification of like doing your work when you're supposed to. And it's basically all the things we're talking about.
yeah,
So, taking the leap to start your business, I feel like understanding the market you're going into is important. But if you're able to do those simple things well, like, in the world we live in today, answering a call with a customer and getting back to them quickly and communicating well and being organized is easy things you can do to actually just, put yourself ahead of almost the entire game right off the bat.
yeah,
Those are very easy things to do. And then secondly, I feel like the college example, having to get into something in a certain market and feel like you need to know everything about, obviously there is industry knowledge that I think is very important around certain
sure.
topics, but there is a way to, kind of get into those things through different, you know, other type things that are related to it. So
Yeah,
I guess to kind of close that thought out, I feel like there's a lot of pivoting that happens when you start a business. It's not like, oh my gosh, when I start this business, it needs to like make sense over the course of 25, 30 years. And I have everything figured out
yes,
right from the beginning. You're going to have to be
yeah,
willing to adapt. And that's all
yep,
growth is A/B testing in certain areas and really feeling things.
yeah. I would say that's probably the biggest thing I've had to learn
Yeah.
is I don't have to have that 25-year view of
Mhm.
exactly how it's going to play out. And
Yeah.
really, at some level, like the more I focus on that, the more it's just kind of a waste of time to focus on that. And it's
Right.
really like preventing me from just doing like
Sure.
the next step that I actually know to do,
Right. Right.
that will actually move in some sort of direction that I would like to see. And
Right.
so, I know you have to have some sort of vision for the business,
Yep.
but I've often found with myself and with other business owners who are looking at or working with, a super concrete vision of what this needs to exactly look like in 10 years is almost unproductive to
Sure.
really try to figure out,
Right.
opposed to maybe what it could be a year from now, or
Yeah.
maybe some general values that you value that you hope that this moves towards, or something like that.
Absolutely. Almost like thinking of it as guardrails of like, okay, this is the general direction we want to be in, but how do we
Yeah.
move and navigate as we head towards that final goal?
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's
It's
good.
so far out to really know.
Yeah. No, it's 100%,
Yeah,
100%. And things could change. 2020 could,
absolutely.
happens and all of a
Right.
sudden everything's different.
Exactly.
Um,
And then that's the looking at Lakeshore Customs, we're the almost the perfect example of that. Within, like I mentioned towards the beginning of this, with the changing Lake Michigan levels, we structured our entire business around protecting homes in a vulnerable state during the high water. So the constant question I would get for 3 years of, within starting the business was, oh, when are you guys going to shut your doors? When is the business going to be over? When are you going to be done?
sure.
And
Yeah.
always the answer was no. Me and Clayton got together when we started the business and we said, hey, this has been a great way to step into a business and step into entrepreneurship, but we want to build a team, we want to build a culture, we want to build
Yeah.
a vision, a guardrail system to be able to pivot us and to grow a business into something. um,
Yeah.
so, looking 4 or 5 years ago when we started the business, saving homes on Lake Michigan, we now we're a design build company that specializes in custom construction and custom landscaping, doing backyard transformations and lakeshore scapes. So
Yeah.
we're so different now. But we were able
Yeah.
to pivot and navigate, and we've grown by over 200% since we started.
Yep. Yeah. That's so interesting. So I guess you guys didn't necessarily have that vision from the beginning though, right? That just kind of evolved over time of what that service
Absolutely.
would end up being as the tide went down and that there was less need there.
Right, exactly. So, we were
Yeah.
very blessed to be able to build a large customer base through the work we had done. So we were able to, build, I shouldn't say lifelong, but long-term relationships within these customers that trusted
Yeah.
us, used us for this work, had a great experience, and then wanted to use us for other projects. So we were able to grow within those same customers, but also pivot through marketing strategies, sales strategies, project management, customer experience related topics to be able to actually put us into a different realm.
Yeah. Yeah, no, our story is so similar of, when we first the company we were working at before, their whole mission was to automate accounting for small businesses. All accounting, all small businesses, they were going to automate it. And so coming out of that, we very much had a very similar approach of like, how do we be hands off with the client? We're just going to do accounting. We're going to be super, super efficient with it. Maybe we provide a little bit more customer service than what we did at the other company. And as we have grown our relationships with people and actually heard what they want or what they need
Right,
and just built that network, we've now evolved into, okay, well, now we're actually going to be the CFO for people.
right,
Maybe not as drastic of a change as you're
right,
describing,
right. No,
but
same thing though.
still,
Yeah,
yeah, same thing of like, well, actually, let's lean into the relationships as much as we possibly can. Then
right.
you learn along the way
Absolutely.
of what that
That's
looks like.
you just
So
said it. You learn along the way.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
And that might come across sometimes as like people will ask me too. They'll say, "Oh, your dad must have been a builder, or your dad must have been a business owner." And it was, no, frankly not. I think we were able to be very blessed around, mentorship is another thing I was going to talk on today. Is super important. Surrounding
Yeah,
yourself with business leaders, business greats, spiritual leaders as well too, to be able to really guide you through situations that you haven't seen before. Um,
yeah,
we'll probably talk about that today too, with just like, what are some financial hurdles we've had to go through. I think starting a business, I obviously have not seen everything in the finance world. I've had to lean into different types of accountants and different types of mentors that are in a higher financial executive position to be able to understand some of those scenarios, because most learning happens through failure. um,
yeah. Yep.
Obviously you can learn through success too, but the learning through failure, you feel it, and you hold on to that a lot longer.
Oh, 100%. That's pretty much been my again my experience as well.
Yeah,
Just with like what works well with clients. Well,
sure.
you really learn from the things that don't work well, or the ways that
100%.
you messed up with the clients, or
Yeah.
and then all of a
Right.
sudden it's like, all right, well, let's put a process in place so that
Yes.
that never happens again,
Right,
because
that
that
was
sucked.
awful. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
No,
so
you bounce back and you make it better, and that's how you build, and that's how you grow.
yeah, yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
Well, you've mentioned God a few times, right?
Yeah.
You obviously are a believer. And how has faith played a role in this journey that you're on?
For sure. No, absolutely. Like I mentioned from the beginning, obviously the open door, in a time where I was on my knees just saying, "Hey, God, what do you want me to do here? Like, where am I going? What does this time look like?" It was such a reassuring feeling to have that door open, for us right off the bat, which was really
Yeah,
awesome. But then I think as we started to have some success and things, you know, had some traction, I think me and Clayton humbly wanted to, also open our hands and say, why us? Like, why allow us to have this opportunity? Why give us this great platform? And what is this for? And so within wanting to establish a business and wanting to build a culture, we took that as the Lord stepping us into a role of being able to build character within the men that we were able, and men and women, I should say, that we're able to work with and also work as a team. Um,
yeah,
Helping with the team mindset to be able to walk through this journey together. We we've wanted to create the business to continue to grow, to create opportunity for everyone within the business to grow in all aspects of their life, and most importantly their career too, and their faith.
yeah,
So the business growth, our vision is to continue to grow the business so that everyone inside of it continue to grow in all aspects of their life. um,
yeah. That's awesome.
So we made an initial investment right off the bat into a team. Um, I would say that's not usually the normal business model when you're starting a business. And I
Yeah.
think maybe it's a
Yeah.
unique piece for us is instead of trying to wear all the hats right off the bat, we went into it as a team and said, hey, we want to create an opportunity for everybody here. We were blessed to be able to even have this opportunity to begin with. We want to share this
Yeah.
with everyone and we want to build this as big as possible. So
Yeah.
that's been a huge thing for us in having the platform to be able to do this as a team and all be able to challenge each other in our faith as well. Um, it's been it's been huge to be able to navigate those hurdles, those highs and those lows together, and be able to grow
Yeah.
as a team, but then also growing in our character as well. There's a ton of mentorship that's able to be done within the business between
Yeah.
the 15, 16 people that work here, and also um, with our clients as well too in certain scenarios and how we navigate problems. And it's almost like as you walk through life as a servant leader and as a disciple, it's something that you can kind of wear all over your face, and I think people can tell there's something different about you.
Yeah, for sure. What did some of those investments look like? So were those like bringing in like a key marketing person or like, I guess, what did that look like?
Yeah, so initially it was bringing in some project management that was able to step alongside us in managing multiple projects at once. Having some of
Got
those
it.
people to be able to assist us, and also um, maybe some bigger business type decisions as we all stepped in towards a certain vision. We also were able to hire on a finance director, which
Nice.
was a huge piece to be able to have someone that's constantly focusing on the finance piece right away.
Yeah.
Nothing gets missed. Everything is categorized exactly as it needs to. Everything's planned exactly as it needs to. Having a good
Nice.
base to work off of, where I think you step in for companies, which is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So to everybody
Well,
out there
let's
listening, if you're starting your business, you need Strata right away.
there you go. I'll pay you afterwards.
There you go.
Uh
Exactly. Is that what
so
you wanted me to
talking
say?
about the fine yeah, no, that was you read the script perfectly.
Nice.
I appreciate
Perfect.
that. Uh, so yeah, switching to the finances. So talk to me about that. So, you guys started with like an asset purchase originally. I mean, what was kind
Yeah.
of the strategy for, I guess, funding that and just, I guess, monitoring the growth over the last few
Hmm.
years as you guys made different pivots, brought on team
Sure.
members? I guess how did all that work?
Yeah, I think going back to an earlier comment too is simplicity is so key. The
Yeah.
more you can keep all of this simple, the easier it is to track and the easier it is to read the data.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, why overcomplicate something that doesn't have to be overcomplicated? Like, keep it simple.
Yeah.
Um, Simplicity has really helped us a ton. I think one thing, if I could go back earlier, would be to, really lean into more mentorship around job costing.
Okay.
Job costing within similar type companies like us within the construction or trades world is so important. Job
Yeah.
costing is everything, and we kind of look at it from two different views, basically project health and company health. So,
Okay.
company health being P&L, income statements,
Yeah.
cash flow monitoring, planning software, being able to actually read into months ahead, read into the current
Yeah.
state. Um, that's very important. But then job health within project management is also so important because that leads the ship into company health. So
Yeah.
how both of those talk to each other, how we track both of those on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis is really
Yeah.
important.
Yeah. So how do you guys keep it simple?
Project management software has been huge for us. Having the ability to have one streamlined effort. We did a ton of like Google Sheet
Sure. There you
engineering
go.
at the beginning, which I think is a
Nice.
great place to start because I actually like that better because I feel like when you jump into a project management software, they're telling you in most cases how you should structure it. Whereas
Yeah.
within Google Sheets, you can kind of build that out on your own.
Yeah.
Go make it make sense for you. Trying to like shift into a project management software is pretty tough, and it takes a lot of like buy-in. So you have to do it at the right time. But I do
Yeah.
think starting off like making it work exactly how you need it to is really important.
Yeah. Got it.
So that's been one way of keeping it simple, is keeping things streamlined into the same process. And then QuickBooks has been huge. I know I'm sure you use QuickBooks,
Um,
or
Most of our clients are in
most of your
QuickBooks.
clients
Yeah.
are. Nice.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
QuickBooks makes it pretty easy. All of our accountants that we work with are hooked up to our QuickBooks as well too, and they navigate through
Yeah.
that with us. But using
Nice.
those two softwares has been huge, just to have them talk to each other. Speaking
Yeah.
of softwares, I think softwares are very important as you
Yeah.
grow in a business. I think leaning into that technology is very important.
Yeah. Got it. Yeah. No, when going back to the spreadsheet thing, what I often find with myself, and I've seen this in other companies too, that to have that kind of period of time where you are doing it manually and you
Yeah.
are going through the efforts of setting it up, it's almost crucial to have that in order to get the buy-in from
Yeah.
everybody, because they kind of feel the pain of doing it that way.
Yeah.
Unless they have many years of experience or something and have
Sure.
already felt that pain at a prior job or something like that.
Right.
But you kind of feel that pain, and then all of a sudden you're a lot more bought in to like,
Yeah.
oh, we got to make this work, because
Right.
that was tough.
That was
Uh,
tough.
that's
Yeah.
been
Yeah.
that's been my experience
Yeah.
with those a lot.
That's
So
a good point for sure. I agree with that.
yeah, yeah. You've mentioned it a couple times. You've kind of hinted at it in different ways, but what are some of maybe like the practical, like monthly things you do to kind of
Hmm.
manage the profitability of your company,
Yeah.
the cash flow of your company? Are there like certain metrics you're trying to hit on each job, or what
Yeah.
do some of those things look like?
Yeah. So on a job health wise, our team is monitoring job costing daily. So we basically, Clayton, my brother, manages all of our operations. So he'll manage all our
Nice.
project managers and then all of our crew leads and all of the teams. So understanding before a project gets going what our budget is for the project, for not only time but actually materials as well. So they're all up to speed
Yeah.
and have goals. We do like a on time on budget program within all of our employees, so that are on site. So having
Yeah.
the drive to be able to have the goal in front of you, go out and chase it, and have the buy-in to we want to instill within every single person in the company to think like it's their own business too.
Yeah.
So that's a huge piece to drive profitability and efficiency.
Yeah.
So
Do you guys incentivize that at all?
yeah, yep. So that's all paid out. So it's based
Yeah.
on
Nice.
the actual on time on budget piece of each project.
Oh, okay. Very, very
So
cool.
so we do that, and then understanding how all those things hit within our project management software, and then that gets translated up to our finance team, that really dissects all of those pieces, actually where they fall within our quarters as we head through the year, where they need to
Yeah.
fall. And I guess I jumped too far here, but actually going up to, I lead our sales team. So us,
Sure.
as we book projects, where we're booking those projects is very important to then lead our project management into when they need to be completed. So that kind of is how things flow through back into finance, where we understand the profitability. They meet with project management and say, okay, did we win? Did we lose? How are we doing on this? And then we either learn from it, learn from the failures so we don't have to do that again. That can then get
Yeah.
reported back to the sales team. Hey, this was quoted wrong. This was done wrong. We need to think about this in the future. So you're
Yeah.
constantly growing, constantly getting better. I actually work with our finance team directly, and we'll do weekly P&L progress meetings. So we'll actually just sit down at our budget for the year and how
Yeah.
all of that health is, from the jobs, is translating into the actual business health. How is that stacking up against our
Yeah.
budget? Are we on track? Are we off? And then we'll do like a monthly to actually really solidify that and really understand where we're at. And then
Yeah.
quarterly, we're actually going through and making adjustments where needed and projections. But
Sure.
within those finance meetings, we're looking at planning softwares, which I think QuickBooks offers a pretty decent way of planning your cash flow.
Yeah.
Understanding cash flow is, I would say, I would even say top three things you have to do within your finance tracking.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it gets missed. I think people will jot something down on a sticky note, but until you can really see, you know, this expense is going out this day, income's coming in this day, until you set some goals for those things, you can't have enough grip on it. And it's really
Yeah.
important.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
Yeah, no, for
Yeah,
sure.
I'm curious for you guys, because a lot of times in the construction industry, it takes a while to get paid. Um,
Mhm,
is that a factor for you guys? And if so, kind of how are you guys navigating that? What does
mhm,
that look
mhm.
like?
Yeah, we've had some issues with taking time to get paid, and that's one of those things where it's, you learn from it, you see where the issues are, and obviously come up with different procedures to make it not happen again. Um,
Yeah,
we don't want to have heavy late fees for missing within a net window. We've really brought it back to the front end and said, okay, as a sales team, we need to set this expectation right away. Um,
yeah,
Fortunately, we haven't had too much of an issue with this. Maybe not as much as other people do, but in our mind, we don't want to have the best customer experience possible. So we set that standard right off the bat. I've actually we've implemented a window where we can set, okay, our standards net 10 after a final payment for a project, but we're willing to exceed that and go up to a net 30. Go ahead and pick what net you want and what date range fits in there. Because some people will say, oh, well, I only pay on Saturdays, or I have to do it by this date when this certain payment
right.
comes in, or something like that. So we,
Sure.
we want to be flexible, but we want to set the expectation right up front.
Yeah. No, that's really good. Setting that expectation is certainly key.
Right.
And it probably helps too, because a lot of times y'all are working with the homeowner, right? The direct
Absolutely.
homeowner. Okay,
Correct.
cool.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm sure that helps.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Well, I wanted to ask too, what would you say is the best financial decision you've made over these last
Wow.
4 years of your journey? What's been
Yeah.
one of the best?
I think going back to a comment I made earlier is probably hiring our finance director.
Nice.
Having him in from the beginning and really
Yeah.
seeing the progression and learning all of those things and navigating all those things as we've gone was just very crucial for, I think, that super solid foundation around finance, where we're at
Yeah.
now. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I would say that's probably the first thing that comes to mind. I think another thing is just investing in the team in general up front.
Yeah.
I think in anything, trying to think how I want to say this. I feel like you have the opportunity in a lot of cases to um, set the standard for, I think, your own personal compensation. When you get into an entrepreneurship opportunity, I feel like you
Yeah.
have the window to be able to set that tone right from the beginning. We wanted to
Yeah.
tilt the scale as heavily as possible to investing into a team. Um,
Yeah.
so that was really important to us, is making as much of a financial investment to setting the vision for the company to get people to want to grow with inside of it and buy into the company, so that we can,
Yeah.
stay along course with each other. We know our turnover rate is, I don't even know the percentage, but we've had to have a peaceful transition with 3, 4 people maybe, and we have 60 employees, and everyone's been with us from pretty much the start. And we've
It's
grown every
amazing.
year with new people, and no one
Yeah.
leaves, and we all are on the same train together, and we all want to, we do quarterly meetings with each employee to basically say, hey, how are things going? Where are you at? What are your goals? Where do you want to be now, in a
Yeah.
year, in 5 years? And basically, if you want to be doing a project, management type position in 3 or 4 years, and you're in your late 20s and you
Yeah.
want to get paid X, let's make it happen for you. And that's
Yeah.
that's how we want to invest all that into them right now.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think that's a unique approach compared to what I see in a lot of our clients and a lot of companies I've worked with before.
Mm-hmm.
Usually the goal is to push that as far back as possible until you kind of have no choice.
Yeah,
Because you're going crazy, you're working 80 hours a week
sure.
or whatever the case may be.
Yeah,
And then you start considering bringing in those key people.
sure.
And
Right.
so I 100% agree with you. I think that's a unique thing that you guys have
Yeah,
done on the front, to do that more on the front end before you get to that point,
sure.
and then trust in your processes for sales and delivery that you're
Yeah,
gonna, they're gonna be able to support the cash flow to make that
yeah,
investment,
yeah,
Um, yeah,
absolutely. No, I mean, it's something you want to be careful of, because you don't want to become too top heavy too quickly. So
yeah,
it's something you have to navigate in the right sense. I think a lot of that for us has been less investment into maybe assets or, that type of side of things. We have been able and fortunate to invest in certain assets within the company, but maybe
Yeah,
not as much as you would. And we've leveraged
sure.
certain other types of, lower risk, quicker transaction type opportunities within other pieces so we can have that piece. So you kind of
Yeah.
have to like
No.
sacrifice a little bit. So instead of having the shiniest and the best fancy equipment, maybe we'll utilize what we have and be more efficient with it, but be able
Yeah.
to invest into the team more.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, what's been one of the maybe biggest mistakes,
Sure.
financial mistakes you've made along the way?
None, never made one. Just kidding.
There you go.
I wrote this down. I did write down, we already talked about it, but just like, navigating mistakes well, whether it's an internal mistake or an external, I think that's
Yeah.
super important for just building trust. I think whether you're building trust within
Yeah.
internal or external, I mean, when you're working with a client and something bad happens, how you navigate that problem says way more about your character, your company, and how they can trust you. Actually, it might even do better for you than if everything goes perfect.
Yeah. I'll testify to that some of my biggest opportunities have come on the tail end of me admitting my biggest mistakes to a client.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And not that that was the intention,
Yeah.
but that's come on the tail end of, hey, I need to be upfront. Here's what happened. Here's what I'm doing
Sure.
about it. That type of conversation,
Yeah.
and it just builds so much trust.
Sure.
Of, oh wow, Hunter's got my back. He's
Yeah.
he's being upfront and honest of what
Yeah.
happened, and
Yeah.
that's certainly been my experience.
Sure.
Is not that that's the motivation to do it, but
Right. Right. Right.
that does seem to happen
Yeah.
quite often.
And just like, yeah, anything in life, it's very important.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, what else do I have here? I think maybe going the next step past where you think you have to be within like your contracts, payment terms, getting something on paper and being organized with that's very important. So I've done a
Yeah.
too much handshake, take someone's word for it in the
Yeah.
past 4 years than maybe I've wanted to. Not that that's always been turned into something bad, but there has been times or maybe a handful where it's been like, man, if I just would have had something on paper, whether that's a contractor agreement, whether it's a contract with a customer,
Yeah.
adding in certain pieces in those areas, I think could have avoided some headache if we would have just went the next step, even if it felt silly to like, hey, we need to get that on paper. Maybe just do it just to be safe.
Yeah. Man, I agree. Vague agreements is
Right.
what that is.
Right.
Our church actually did a sermon on it. This is probably a couple years ago. They went through the life of Jacob and his father-in-law Laban,
Mm-hmm.
and just the different vague agreements
Yeah.
that were between them, and how it
Sure.
ultimately led to a relationship broken.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, no, I totally, and the accountant within me totally says, yes, write it all
Do it.
down,
Right.
write it all down.
Absolutely. It's important.
Yeah.
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 No,
Well,
absolutely.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, what's next? What's next for you and the team, and what are you guys working on, and
Yeah,
what's 2025 bringing for you?
man. No, we're excited. We're really thankful for the what the Lord's brought us into this upcoming year. We're continuing to grow as a team. We're looking at we grew by 68% last year. We're looking to do about the same this year.
Dang.
And
Dang.
that's yeah, it's a lot of growth. But within the team that we do have that we're super blessed with, it feels right. And I think we're doing growth intentionally to build enough room for everyone to build within inside of Lakeshore Customs, where I've had comment. You think about growth without purpose is cancer.
Yeah.
Um, and as long as that purpose is there, that's where I think that begins to just blossom into value. We're really
Yeah.
excited about that. We're really looking to niche down again, like we started as a company. We've
Okay.
you know really gotten to know who our customers are, what we do good at. And
Yeah.
that's another piece of just learning to evaluate what jobs went well, what jobs didn't go as well, where we do good at. And
Yeah.
yeah, sticking to what you do well. I think as you grow as a company in that first initial period, it's very easy to kind of just, you take everything you can.
Yeah.
You take every
Yeah.
opportunity out there. And I think that's what you should do, because you learn
Yeah.
through all those opportunities. But don't get complacent and take those opportunities as you grow and figure out what works well, what you're good at, what
Yep.
makes sense, and start to, yeah, niche down. I think niching down
Yeah.
is important.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool.
Um,
Well,
so we're excited about
go
that.
ahead.
Yeah.
Nice. Nice. Well, how can we help? Somebody's
Yeah.
listening and
Yeah.
what are you looking for? What are you looking to be introduced to? What does that look like for you guys?
Yeah. No, I think I think I'm really passionate about other people in that scenario that we talked about at the beginning of, on that tipping point of wanting to take the leap. I think there's thresholds in all of business. And I think it's the first one is, taking the leap to start a business. And then the second one is, okay, I'm trying to grow this business. I feel like I'm at a threshold. I need to break into that next area. Um,
Yeah.
those pieces of breaking through those thresholds, I think, is where you probably step in and help a ton of people. Where I
Yeah.
think, directly, I'm probably passionate about people breaking into those as well too, and what to do and what makes sense and how you keep things simple as you go through it too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I'd love to just anybody out there that's like, hey, I want to start a business and I don't know what to do. I'd love to just get coffee with you and connect and just see what I can
Yeah.
help.
That's awesome. Well, what's the best way to
Yeah.
reach out to you?
Yeah, I would say probably my email, which maybe we attach this to etch us on here, and I'm
Yeah.
happy to meet with anybody.
Sounds great, man. Well,
That's awesome.
really appreciate the conversation. This has been awesome. Awesome, testimonies of investing into people, developing your processes along the way, your product and
Yeah,
service along the way. I think, anybody listening is going to benefit hugely from your experiences. So thank you, Mason. And thank you everybody for listening.
yeah. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for having me.